Support comes from the Arizona Inn, a four-diamond, family-owned historic resort hotel and restaurant on Elm Street near the U of A. Information is at arizonainn.com.
Hello everyone, I'm Tucson Weekly senior writer Jim Ninsel, and we're here to talk Zona Politics. Today, it's my pleasure to host a forum for the three Democrats running for the North Central Ward 3 seat on the Tucson City Council, which is now held by the retiring Karen Ulick. I'll introduce the three candidates in alphabetical order. We have school teacher Felicia Chu, attorney Paul Durham, and business owner Tom Tronsdale. The winner of the August primary will face independent candidate Gary Watson. Welcome all of you to our Zona Politics Forum.
Thank you.
Well, let's start, Felicia, again, alphabetical order.
Sure.
Tell the voters why you'd like to be the next Ward 3 council member.
I want to be the next Ward 3 council member because being a single mom, being a working mom, I have seen a lot of challenges that my working family students experience. And I know there's a wealth of resources, but people don't know how to access those resources. So I know that there's ways to have policies and put more money into these areas so that we can access them. And I want to see more accountability and responsibility. And that's what I'll bring to the council.
Paul, same to you.
I'm running because we need a strong Democrat who will stand up for the people and groups that Donald Trump attacks. If you're anything other than rich and white, you're under attack these days. One other group that's under attack is women and women's rights. I'm proud that Planned Parenthood protects those rights. I'm proud that I was the first candidate in this race to earn the endorsement of Planned Parenthood of Arizona. We can improve the lives of Ward 3 residents with sustainability, neighborhoods, and jobs by focusing on those things. I'll talk about those later. I worked my way through college as a UFCW retail store clerk, or grocery store clerk. I want to be sure that every resident of Ward 3 has the same opportunity for education and a job.
All right, and Tom, same question to you. Why is it you want to be on the Tucson City Council?
To be honest, Jim, Ward 3 has been my home for 3 decades, whether it's going to school, raising my family, or starting my career there. I know this ward inside and out, and I truly value the people I live with. And this is a rare opportunity for me to be able to take a stand and participate in our politics, where I can allow many different voices to become engaged in our society. There are too many people in our ward who are not being heard. And I think with my unique experience as a business owner, as a resident in the community, and just having been involved in many different social organizations that make Ward 3, I bring a diverse and unique perspective that will help a lot of people who aren't being heard become engaged and empowered to be part of the process.
All right. Paul, next question to you. Ward 3 has some of the worst poverty issues in the city of Tucson. What is your strategy for improving economic conditions for the Ward 3 residents?
Jim, I've been talking to voters in Ward 3, and many of them are angry that their neighborhoods have deteriorated, have gone downhill. That's wrong. I believe the city can work with social service agencies to strengthen our partnership with them and promote and educate people about the services they offer. We can work with schools, PCC, U of A, JTED to strengthen our partnership with those organizations and assist them in providing education and job training. It's critical that we improve conditions in Ward 3. It's critical that we address poverty. I've seen a lot of it in Ward 3.
Tom, same question to you. It's strategy for addressing some of the poverty issues that the voters in Ward 3 face.
Housing, food, jobs, education. These are all areas we have to focus on in Ward 3. We all recognize there's a huge poverty issue in our community. And it can be solved and it can be addressed, but we have to take multiple steps to make it happen. First, we have to increase access to education and services. Secondly, we have to make available more opportunities to increase job training for our community. And finally, we have to bring new economic growth to the ward. All those things by themselves will not solve the issue. But if we combine all three elements, we can make a difference as a city for all of our residents.
All right, and Felicia, same question over to you. Strategies for improving the economic conditions for people in Ward 3 who live in terrible poverty in some areas of it.
So I can give you a specific personal example. My son attends KidCo, and last summer what happened was they decided that there was not going to be the free lunch and breakfast program anymore. So what I ended up doing was getting on the phone and calling people and saying we need to get this meal program back. So a lot of my friends, their kids are also enrolled in KidCo. We don't have the money to be all of a sudden paying for these services that we were told by the city they were going to pay for. So that's one example how we just need to really support the families by knowing the processes and following through with them. What happened then at the end of the summer was I wanted to actually start a transportation program. KidCo has excellent programs. The cost of it is really affordable for the families, but we can't get our kids to KidCo. So I called Suntran, and we had the idea of a pilot program that we were going to do, and we were going to get a little bus that would go from school to school, pick up these kiddos so that they could get to KidCo. So that ends up helping families like me, where we can't necessarily afford $200 a month for childcare. So when we talk about what strategies, we need to look at the existing programs that we have, and we need to really support them so that they are really efficient and effective for the families that we have. The other one would be transit. We need to have a dedicated funding source so that the transit is there for the working families who don't have the ability to have a vehicle to get from point A to point B, and we need to really put emphasis on that.
Transit's our next topic, and we'll start with Tom on this one. Tom, the bus system does require a major investment from the city's general fund at this point. A lot of people complain that it's too much, but your opinion, in general, is the city spending too much, too little, or is it just about right for the subsidy from the general fund on the mass transit system?
I think providing the money for the public transit through the fund is necessary and required as a city. I mean, to be honest, Jim, I wouldn't be sitting here with you today if I hadn't had access to quality public transportation as a kid. When I grew up, if it wasn't for a good bus system, I would not have made it to school. If it wasn't for a good bus system, my mother would not have gone to work. So like me, for many residents in the city of Tucson, public transportation is not a personal convenience, it's a necessity. And that's why the city has to keep funding it as needed to make it accessible for everyone, affordable for everyone, and definitely safe. And the affordability is a big key. We have to keep supplementing the fund because the city of Tucson has probably one of the lowest fares in the country. Nobody else offers the discounted fares that city of Tucson does for economically disadvantaged people as well as seniors and disabled and children. We have to maintain that so the people who need the buses continue to ride the buses.
So about right then for the spending, or it needs more?
We're definitely right. We need to keep it right, keep it as it is now, so we can maintain the current fare levels.
Okay, and Felicia, your thoughts? Just about right, too much, too little?
Way too little. We definitely need to have a dedicated funding source that goes with it. I know a concern that happens is people are saying the fare box isn't bringing enough money, but my understanding is they're looking at the spreadsheet of the fares, and it includes routes that maybe aren't ridden as much. So there's some fare boxes that are getting only maybe 6% back, but there are some that are getting 60%. So what we need to do is we need to look back at the Jarrett Walker study, which talks about looking at the downtown area and that I think it's 5 miles or 1 mile, I can't remember the exact number, radius, and that's where we need to be able to focus our transit. So we can't look at skewed data, and that's kind of what's being presented right now. So as councilwoman, that's what I'm going to do, is I'm going to look at the actual data. So back with your question, we are paying way too little. We need to have a dedicated funding source.
And when you say dedicated funding source, what do you envision that being?
So looking at our budget and figuring out how are we going to reallocate our budget, and just even hearing about how some of the money that goes into certain programs, we could really reallocate that so it's not being wasted. For example, when we redid our city jobs, for example, we ended up losing a lot of folks. So you've got 3 people now trying to do one other person's job. We need to look at those roles that they have, the responsibilities, and we need to kind of redefine what their role is so that 1, our employees are not feeling super overwhelmed, but 2, we're able to say, okay, you're doing this job, you're getting paid for this much. You're getting this job, you're being paid for this much. And we just need to look at the budget and kind of balance it overall.
Okay, and Paul, your thoughts on transit funding at this point?
Well, Jim, I think we can do a better job with our transit system. Our goal should be to have a transit system that people use because they want to, not just because they have to, and that serves a broader spectrum of our community. We can increase revenues by attracting more full fare paying commuters. We can decrease costs by, in the long run, electrifying our bus fleet. I've been working with Proterra, an American manufacturer of electric buses, and Suntran to provide cost comparisons based on actual Suntran data. And we can initially electrify our fleet and reduce our carbon footprint by adopting electric buses at no cost, at no additional cost, and it will save money in the long run. Look, there's no question, if we're going to make a significant improvement in our transit system, we're going to have to spend more money.
Okay. First one now, we're over to Felicia, and the Grant Road project, one of the biggest transportation projects in central Tucson. Plans now call for a grant to be widened to 6 lanes between Stone Avenue and Swan Road. Some of that work is already getting done. Do you think the current city plan for widening is the right way to go? And if not, what would you like to see happen?
So, no, I don't think it is the best way. We have different groups, Living Streets Alliance, and some other groups in town who, when you look at the transportation studies, when you look at the past projections, we can see that those projections aren't quite where they were going to be. Now, depending on who you talk to, you know, if they want more money, they want more people to buy cars, then of course they're going to say, yes, we definitely need these lanes. But if we are able to do kind of what Living Streets Alliance talks about, which is having areas for walking, areas for biking, areas where the transit is able to go through, and areas for cars for people who want to use the cars still, then having 6 lanes of roads is not necessarily what we need the best. The other concern too is, I know this has been going on for 9 years, and some of the residents are concerned. Coming off of Grant at 4th, which would be Geronimo, it's going to be blocked off. And so now you're making these folks go all the way around to come to a place where they could travel much more quickly to get downtown. So those things need to get relooked at as well. It's a good idea for the time that it was. I think we need to look at it again and make sure that we are doing the right thing now before we go to a point of no return.
Paul, your thoughts on the Grant Road project?
Jim, it's our obligation to offer the full range of transportation choices. That means pedestrians, bicycles, roads and cars, and transit, including streetcar. Many traffic engineers believe or assume that the real goal, the main goal, is to move as many vehicles as possible, move as many cars as possible. I don't accept that. Our obligation is to balance the needs of all users of the roads. We can make a positive contribution to livability and sustainability in Tucson if we provide roads that balance the needs of all the users. In addition, state-of-the-art traffic engineering can actually move more vehicles with fewer lanes. So I don't accept the notion that the only goal is to move as many cars as possible. We need to balance the needs of all users of the roads.
All right, and Tom, your thoughts on the future of Grant Road. Is the city on the right track with what they're doing, or would you join your colleagues here in suggesting perhaps less vehicle and more pedestrian bus lanes?
These kind of issues are really challenging for the businesses and residents that are in the area. It's a reality that we don't have a lot of room for growth within Ward 3. We're very constrained by existing properties and our roads. Grant Road offers us a chance to build a vibrant pathway through the heart of our city. But a part of a vibrant pathway is part of strategic infill is to create green spaces. It's to create more bus or bike lanes, more accessible mass transit opportunities. You add those together with more opportunities for people to use the pathway, which will allow for maybe growth in businesses along there, maybe different ways to convey people throughout the city, not just by 4 wheels, but by two or by their own feet. It's an opportunity to bring growth to a region where we don't have a lot of room to grow.
Okay. We've had a group turn in some signatures to ask voters to increase the sales tax by a ½ cent per dollar to support early childhood education programs, with the expectation they would raise about $50 million a year, assuming it makes the ballot. Paul, do you support the Strong Start Tucson initiative?
Early childhood education is incredibly important. It's how we level the playing field between the haves and the have-nots. Study after study has shown that, it is really of tremendous importance. I have some concerns about the proposal. It doesn't set any standards contained within the proposal for what is a high-quality preschool. It appoints a committee to determine that. We've no assurance where they'll come out, how well they will function. So I'm concerned about that. I'm also concerned that the timing might not be right. Coming so soon after Prop 101, will the voters really be ready to vote for another ½ cent sales tax? I'm not sure. I'm still talking to people. I approach any issue by talking to anybody with knowledge, expertise, or perspective on an issue, and I'm still doing that.
All right. Tom, your thoughts on the Strong Start Tucson proposal that's out there?
Well, absolutely. We have a huge need to increase access to early child care and education. I know when our son was young, my wife and I had to balance our work schedules where I worked during the day and she worked nights and evenings, so we could have the opportunity for my child to be in, not have to be in child care and have access to early education. So it's a struggle for everybody. And giving all working families the ability to have more choice is great. But this is not the best way to do it. I have a lot of reservations because we had changed the city charter that will become nearly impossible to reverse. I would prefer to see something like a pilot program be implemented, followed by a 5-year renewable plan to increase access to child care and education. As well, I have a lot of concerns about how the money is going to be distributed, who's going to receive it, and how much will everybody receive. Those are questions no one can answer. And we haven't seen anybody give a solid answer to that. So it's really hard for me to endorse giving funds for people that may not receive the money.
All right. And Felicia, your thoughts on the Strong Start Tucson initiative?
Yes, I support Strong Start Tucson initiative. They're actually, so when I heard about it, being a teacher, I thought, okay, what are the pros and what are the cons, and how is there going to be accountability? And so I reached out to Strong Start Tucson, to the campaign, and I asked all of those questions. I said, define for me what is a high quality preschool. Define for me who are the families who are going to be eligible for these funds. Define for me this. I must have had 10, 20 questions. Layla Katabi-Counts was their campaign person who was heading all this up, and then they've got, a lot of people who have the experience and the knowledge going on here. And so we can just go out and we can ask the questions. They have plans for how they are going to be able to ensure that there's oversight of where the money is going. But when we look down at it, you can put your kid into childcare. That's not the question. The key here is that it's high quality. So I know it's promotional video for them, but if you look at the promotional video, it shows kids who are maybe just strapped into a car seat and they're just sitting there in front of a TV. And then compared to what a high quality preschool is, where they're interacting with the individuals, we know that when you have more conversation with people, then you end up learning so much more. Quick story, I know I'm limited on time, but there was a young child. Mother spoke one language, father spoke another language, nanny spoke a third language. Child did not speak for the first 5 years of the life, and everybody was worried. But when that child opened his mouth, 3 languages, fluent, perfect. So there's evidence that we need to have high quality education for our kids. And there's a difference because the low income families, people in poverty, they can't afford it. So we really need to level the playing field. So yes, people need to vote yes on Strong Start Tucson. It's going to be on the ballot. There were a million signatures, not a million, but there were many signatures. It's going to be on the ballot.
Okay. Another question, likewise, another group is asking voters to increase the sales tax by 1/10 of a cent per dollar to fund improvements at the zoo. Tom, what do you think of this proposal?
I love the zoo. I was on the Parks and Rec Commission for a number of years representing Ward 3. And I spent countless hours there with my annual family pass. However, a sales tax solely for the zoo right now is not the best policy for the city of Tucson. If we're going to fund growth and we're going to fund maintenance and development for the zoo, we need to look to other sources such as federal partnerships, community sponsorships, and other grant programs. Those are where we need to spend our tax money right now.
Felicia, your thoughts on the zoo?
Sales tax for the zoo?
Yes.
Yes, I think the 1/10. When the information came out about Prop 101 and how it was a half-cent sales tax, it equals to about $3 a month per person who's in a household. So you're looking at pennies. And when you look at what the zoo provides for our community and how it is kind of a tourist attraction for folks to come to the zoo, we need to invest in the zoo. So yes.
Paul?
The zoo is incredibly important. It's important for a number of reasons, in a number of ways. It's an important part of every child's education to go to the zoo. It's a tremendous family activity. It is and is also a very significant tourist attraction. I question that we should be funding our parks one by one, though. You know, I don't think, well, I don't think that's a good idea. I would rather see us come up with a comprehensive plan for improving our parks citywide or region-wide. I think that's a better approach. On the other hand, it is small, that's true, but I just don't think it's a good idea to fund our parks one at a time.
Okay, and Felicia, I think we're back to you now. Sure. The City Council has committed itself to the goals of the Paris Climate Agreement, even though the Trump administration has withdrawn the United States from the accords. What do you think the city should be doing to improve energy efficiency, and how would you pay for it?
So I was just talking with one of the neighbors today as I was out, and there's a lot of easy things that you can do. In fact, at my own home, I get my shovel, I dig as the monsoons come, and that's what it is. It's getting the water to be able to sink, slow sink and spread. And what that does is we've got more water into our ground, and that helps lower temperatures. And then you've got basins where you plant the trees give more shade, that brings down the heating costs, and that heating cost ends up bringing down costs for the families. So there's just this huge, you know, great cycle that comes out of us being able to do that. So we can do it in low-cost ways, like I'm doing it on my own with my own hands. We've got grants that are out there. There's a grant out right now that is available in the city, and I think what we need is more folks to be able to find some of the money where we can use it, but also using recycled materials. That's what I'm doing. I'm hauling rock from a guy who did something else to his land. So I just go over there, I get it from him. He's excited because I'm getting the rock off of his property, because he said, do you know how much it costs to have somebody come get this away? I said, well, I need it, so thank you so much. And that's what we need, is neighborhood partnerships to bring people together.
Paul, your thoughts on energy efficiency and how the city can work harder in that area, and how we can pay for it?
Energy efficiency and sustainability is not just a campaign slogan. It's my way of life. My bicycle is my main transportation. I drive an electric car powered by the panels on the roof, and we collect rainwater for the outdoor plants. I propose that Tucson establish a goal of getting 100% of the energy it needs for city operations from renewable sources by 2025. Energy efficiency is an important part of achieving that goal. Energy efficiency is also important in the private sector, and I'm a member of the 2030 District Planning Group. The 2030 District has the goal, sets the goal of 50% reduction in energy consumption by commercial buildings within a given district by 2030, by the year 2030. That's why it's called the 2030 District. Efficiency is also, energy efficiency is also an important part of another goal I have, and that is to make Tucson the most environmentally sustainable city in the American Southwest.
All right, and Tom, your thoughts on energy efficiency and what the city should be doing about it?
Well, in Ward 3, over 60% of the buildings are not owner-occupied. So currently, there's very little incentive for a landlord or a commercial landlord to become energy efficient to benefit their tenants. That is a huge missed opportunity for this city to go after and encourage people to become part of this. And that's going to be a priority if I'm a council member. And there are several barriers right now to energy efficiency as a widespread policy. In our ward, energy efficiency and renewable resources are very much not affordable for the majority of our residents. It's a huge barrier for people. Secondly, businesses are not really encouraged to participate as much as they should be. And finally, we need to educate the members of our community as how they can be a better use of their natural resources. As of right now, for most people, these barriers make it cost prohibitive and time prohibitive to becoming much more sustainable. I know as a fact, as sustainable as I want to be in my home, currently I can't afford to go solar. And it's an expense for me to start water harvesting. And if I can't do it, I know the majority of my ward can't as well, and we need to fix that.
Okay, we are just about out of time. I want to give each of you 30 seconds to make a final pitch to the voters out there. And we will start with, I think we started with Felicia on this one. So Paul,
Great.
Final pitch.
I'd like every resident of Ward 3 to have a chance for a good education, a good job, and a healthy life. When I was growing up, there wasn't much money around, and my mother declared one day that she was going to stop shopping at Goodwill because it's just gotten too expensive. I believe that we can improve the lives of Ward 3 residents, by addressing those same three areas that I talked about: sustainability, neighborhoods, and jobs. And I have a website, Paul for Progress. There's more information there. You can send me comments or questions through that website.
All right, Tom, final pitch to voters.
The city has made a lot of progress in the last few years, but we can't stop now. We have to keep this momentum going, and especially in areas like Ward 3 that need more help. There are a lot of people right now not being heard. We have to reach out to the people not participating and engage them directly and empower them to become part of the process. Because I've lived in Ward 3 for so long, because I know the residents, because I've been on the boards of the Salvation Army or Catholic Community Services or the Tucson Community School, or because I own my own business, I understand what needs to be done in our ward. And that's why I want to make a difference in my community. This is my home. I want to make it a better place. So for more information, visit tomtronzel.com. And
right.
yeah.
Finally, Felicia, final pitch to the voters here.
We're all a piece of this puzzle of Tucson, and I'm hearing that they're not engaged. Actually, people really want to get engaged, but they don't know how. So as councilwoman, I will be reaching out to people. I knocked on a couple doors today, and one woman was really surprised. Nobody has ever come to visit me. So that's what I will bring. We'll have chat with Chu like we've been doing, and we'll just have an opportunity for me to help develop an infrastructure so that all of us can share the things and the concerns that we have. And we'll have accountability and responsive government.
All right, we're going to leave it there.
All right.
I want to thank all of my guests here for talking to us about what they'd like to do with, if they are elected to the City Council in Ward 3, Felicia Chu, Paul Durham, Tom Tronsdale. And I'd also like to thank our media partners at Tucson Weekly, Tucson Local Media, Creative Tucson, and Community Radio 91.3 FM, where you can hear a radio version at 5 p.m. on Sunday afternoons. If you missed any part of today's show, you can find our episodes at zonapolitics.com. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Zona Politics is made possible with the generous support of the Loft Cinema, Tucson's independent movie theater. The Loft features independent, foreign, and documentary films, cult classics, discussions with filmmakers, and much more, including the Loft Film Fest in November. The Loft is located at 3233 East Speedway Boulevard. Showtimes can be found at loftcinema.org. Support for Zona Politics is provided by Hotel Congress in historic downtown Tucson. More information at hotelcongress.com and 622-8848. The Tucson Hispanic Chamber of Commerce serves the business community in the bilingual, bicultural region of the Arizona-Sonora border and is a proud media partner with Zona Politics. Learn more at TucsonHispanicChamber.org. Zona Politics is hosted by Tucson Weekly senior writer Jim Ninsel. The program is produced by Jennifer Powers Murphy and Danny Vinnick and edited by Jim Rundle. Special thanks to KXCI, Tucson Weekly, Brink Creative Digital, and all supporters who provide crucial funding for the program. Learn more about Zona Politics at zonapolitics.com and be sure to follow us on Facebook and Twitter